This conference
Okay,
will now be recorded.
you want to also have appropriate help. I always talk about building your team. You need a team, and everybody on the team might not be working daily beside you, but they're still an important member. You need to find yourself an accountant. Your accountant will help you with your financial projections. And you also want to have an attorney to advise you on your appropriate business structure. And when I say your appropriate business structure, for those that may not be familiar, are you going to open your business and register it under the state of Maryland as a sole proprietor, a limited liability company, or are you going to sell shares and therefore you would open it up as a C Corp or S Corp? So let's talk about the steps to developing a business plan. So first, you want to format your document. You know, your business plan is what represents you and your business. So you don't want it to look sloppy. You don't want it to have grammatical and spelling errors. You want it to represent you. You want to put your best foot forward. So in a business plan, normally the executive summary is the first thing in the business plan when you open up the document. But guess what? Your executive summary really should be the last thing you write, because your executive summary is collecting all of the data that's in the business plan and summarizing it initially as an introduction. So I love this cartoon. Thousands of excellent proposals, but no one uses our improved format. Okay, so you want to make sure again that your document is neat. So then you want to, step two, you want to write your company description. Okay, your business name, address, telephone number, and email. You know, someone attended a how to write a business plan class, and I was horrified when I reviewed the documents that came out of that class because they didn't have something as simple as the person's name and contact information. You want to list the owners and the legal entity. Again, maybe it's a partnership, maybe it's a sole proprietor. You want to say whether you're registered with the state of Maryland and what legal format, being sole proprietor, meaning you using your own social security number, or a LLC, or a C Corp or S Corp, where you contact the IRS and they issue you a employee identification number, which in simple terms is like having a social security number for your business. And what the purpose is. What's the purpose of this business? Where is the need? What need did you find in the community, um, in the economic community, where people will pay for your service? And what's your type of business? Are you a caterer? Are you a home health care aid business? Are you a landscaper? Are you flipping houses and you need to contact the bank so that they can you can ask them to pre-qualify you for a certain amount of money? What's your goal? What's your goals? What are you trying to do? And you know, what are you achieving? And the industry, again, are you opening up a laundromat? Is that the industry, or a car wash? And you should also list your attorney, your accountant, and I see a typo, and I'll make sure I change that. If you have an insurance agent, you need to list all of those people within your business plan. It is very important. Step three, remember your market analysis. You got to find out what everybody else is doing in your industry. That'll also help you determine how much you plan on charging. You don't want to charge too little, and you don't want to charge too much. You want to be competitive. So take a look at your target market. What are their needs and their preferences? How old are they? And where are they located? And again, your competitive analysis, where you're listing your strengths and your weaknesses and the potential impact on your business. And also, it's not written here, but let's take it another step. List your strengths and your weaknesses and take a look at your competitor and see what their strengths and weaknesses are and how you can make yourself stand out. Again, I love this commercial. We finally got through all the market research required to launch this product, but now they're all retired. Now, with the Maryland Small Business Development Center, we can assist you with some of this market analysis effort. We have a clearinghouse that will do the research for you. The clearinghouse will provide you with the list of your competitors based on your zip code. The research package that the SBDC clearinghouse will do will pull documents like if you need a special kind of license, we can let you know that. We also will give you a sample business plan that you can look at. I'm not promoting to plagiarize it, but you can take a look and use it as a template or a draft to make sure that you're putting in everything you need to. So step 4, how are you going to organize your company? You need to focus on your key personnel. You need to list all of the partners and the team's expertise. Put in their resumes. How are you going to make decisions? Where does the buck stop? Are you having managers that will have to report to you, or are you just a business of one? Describe the owners and the managers' extensive background in the industry. Again, if you're going to receive financing, your likelihood of getting financing to launch a woman-owned construction company will diminish if you have no background in construction or no one on your team has background in construction. And part of this step 4 is create an organizational chart, just like what you see in the photograph. That's what it should look like. The CEO, the manager, who's underneath the managers. Then it may be another department. You need to think it clearly and write it out. So now you're going to describe your product or services. Again, what are you selling? What's great about the product you're selling? The product, are you doing a landscaping business and you also can provide permeable pavement so that when it rains, the water will be filtered through the pavement instead of putting concrete? Maybe that could be your niche, because a lot of companies don't know how to put down permeable pavement. How will the customer benefit from you? That you're timely, you're efficient, you provide good customer service, your years of experience, you need to state that as well. How is your product or service better than your competitors? You're affordable, you have payment plans, your years of experience, you're a carpenter and you have pictures of the beautiful work that you've done. You need to think about that. So we want to now let people know we have a business, right? So you want to work on your marketing and sales strategy. Explain how you will penetrate the market. Are you going to do it with social media? Are you going to focus on a certain zip code and do mass mailings? Are you going to have a radio ad, a TV commercial? How are you going to let people know that you have a product? How will you manage the volume of business? You know, when you put that you have this great product out there, and I see sometimes the national news shows since the pandemic, they've been spotlighting small restaurants. They spotlighted one restaurant in Cincinnati. The lady you can't sit in it. All you can do is walk up to the window and order her delicious food. After her ad ran on CBS this morning, that lady had lines around the block. How is she going to manage that? How is she going to manage her inventory to make sure she doesn't sell out? How is she going to schedule people to service the customers? All of those things, think about. How are you going to manage your business volume? And how are you going to communicate with your customers? I'm sure that many of you go to Chick-fil-A. They never say thank you. They always say my pleasure. That is part of their business model, to always say it is a pleasure to serve you. And how will you dispense, sell, market your product or services? Again, are you going to, is it only going to be an online business? Do you want to open up a clothing store, but instead of getting a storefront, do you buy a box truck and make it a mobile boutique? So what are you going to do? How are you going to market your business, and how are you going to make it available to your potential customers? So let's say that you have to request a loan. So you need to think about how much money you're going to need. You know, it costs money to be in business before you even make your first dollar, because you have to register your business with the state of Maryland, and that can cost up to $300. You may need to open up a bank account, so you need to check to see with your bank, what is their minimum deposit required for a business bank account? Do you need supplies? Do you need equipment? Do you need uniforms? Do you need to hire people? How much money do you need to get this venture off the ground? And how are you going to use the money? Can't just go to the bank and say, I need $50,000. What are you going to use that money for? You're going to use it to build out a space? Then that would mean you need to have estimates from various contractors. Are you going to use that money to buy a truck? Are you going to use that money to buy a piece of equipment, tools? How are you going to use that money? And it needs to be listed, and it needs to be precise. And also, if you go to a bank, how long is it going to take you to pay that money back? They want to know, what's your plan? Do you need a short-term loan that's only 6 months? Or do you need an intermediate loan, which may be 1 to 10 years, and also maybe a long-term loan that's more than 10 years? Excuse me one moment, please. Hello, this is Jennifer Fun. Yes, who's this? Okay, okay, I'm so sorry. Let me move on. So you're developing a loan package. So your loan package, you want to make sure that is clear, because when you put in your loan package to a bank, they want to make sure that it represents you. Again, if your loan package is sloppy, they're going to figure you'll probably be sloppy with your business and paying the loan back. But this is what they're going to ask for. If you're a new business, they're going to want to see your personal financial statement. Why? Because you don't have a business financial statement to present to the bank. Okay? You need to have a balance sheet to show what money you have on hand, what money you're trying to get, how it's going to balance. How are you going to manage your business? You need to have an income statement again and a cash flow statement. So to the left-hand side, a lot of people, when they're going for a loan, they may have common problems like limited capital, meaning they don't have a lot of cash on hand. That's why you're going to a bank to ask for money. You may not have kept good records, because if they ask for a personal financial statement, that's going to include your tax returns. Maybe there's some financial problems with your business, and you did not seek outside help. You didn't contact a CPA. You didn't contact an attorney. Sometimes with new businesses, people may not really feel comfortable with investing, and you need to be prepared for that. And again, that's why you need to have the best business plan possible to market. And also, failure to personally guarantee the loan payment. If you're a new business, they're going to want you to have skin in the game. And many banks feel if you fail to personally guarantee, if you don't want to personally guarantee the loan for your business, then there's probably, you don't have any faith in your own product. So this is the final step, which goes to your executive summary. The owners and the owners' names and their credentials should be number one, right? Because you're going to pull that information and put it all, summarize everything into your executive summary. Remember, I said your executive summary is the last thing that you write. So this is your introduction to your business plan. So again, you want to start off with the name of the business, the name of the owners, and their credentials. What your products or services, how you're going to market it, the amount of money that you need, how you plan to repay the loan, and how long it will take you to repay the loan. I'm sorry, it's not over yet, because you also need to create an appendix as to the final page of your business plan. And that should be, again, your executive summary, the business description, the market analysis, how you're structuring your company, describing your product, how you plan on marketing the product, and if you're requesting funding, that should also be part of your business plan with any supporting documents to show that you're worthy. So I want you to know your business plan is a living document. So as you're launching your business, that is plan A. But I will guarantee you, by the time you open up your business, by the time you're ready to launch your business, you may be at plan D. And it's okay, because it's a living document. And as your business grows, you should revisit your business plan and make it appropriate. You should update your business plan every year that you're in business. And this is not in the presentation, but I say that's the same thought pattern with your website. The website that you launch your business with should not be the same website you have 5 years from now. Your website and your business plan should live and grow just as you do. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much, Ms. Fun, for the presentation. This is Tiffany Page from the Virtual Village. I had a quick question. I wanted to know, like, when we're revising the business plan, do we keep, I guess, the additional information in? Like, so for instance, do we do like a plan 1.0, a plan 2.0 to kind of show the difference in where we were initially, just in case we need to revisit it? What does that look like as far as planning is concerned? If you could just help me
Yeah,
conceptualize that.
sure. The business plan that the 101 business plan, when you're creating a venture, yes, go ahead and do that, and you may want to date them if you're saving them in your computer, so that you can even see the progress. Put the numbers, business plan point 1, business plan point 2. But I would not recommend that you write that in your business plan if you're taking it to a bank. Be very focused and determined. This is it. This is our plan. And this is how we're going to make our business work and able to pay back that loan.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions?
I don't have any question, but I just want to thank you for the presentation. I may be the only one here who never really sat down because my business hasn't gotten started, just got a name so far. Sat down and looked at what a business plan totally entailed. And I really appreciate this. It was so enlightening. Thank you.
Oh, well, I'll be happy to email my presentation. Please feel free to share it with the participants on this webinar.
Thank you.
Also, you can feel free to email me to schedule an appointment. I'm happy to work with you one-on-one, and it is not at a cost. I work for the Maryland Small Business Development Center. We are a state agency, and we are connected with the University of Maryland at College Park. So I always introduce myself as your tax dollars at work. So we do not charge for one-on-one consultations. We have many free workshops that you can go to and participate in. I'm more than happy to work with you guys. And I should be back to my old self on Monday. They say these side effects don't last more than 24 hours. So on Monday, I'll be back in the office and look forward to scheduling an appointment for anyone that may be interested.
Well, Ms. Fun, this is Ron Hand speaking. I just want to thank you for soldiering through this day. Gotten that vaccine in your arm as well. We're going to follow up going forward with some more reinforcement of what you've already shared. But I think the most important thing that you shared for those cooperatives or persons in the room today that are from Maryland, I mean, you're telling them that the one-on-one is a big lift. So I hope they take advantage of the fact that you do provide this service at a no cost state of Maryland in terms of helping individuals write and develop business plans. So, again,
and just to share with you, Ron, we walk all the way through with you, from your concept to you opening your doors, and even after you open your doors, many clients. I've had some clients for 4 or 5 years now that check in with me, may have an issue, and especially in this last year that we went through, there were a lot of businesses trying to restructure, trying to go with the flow. I'll give you an example, and you guys probably will appreciate this. I have a client that's a caterer, and before the pandemic, he was rolling. I mean, he was doing he was catering Amazon's Christmas parties. He was really doing a great, great job. Had a commercial kitchen he was working in DC on New York Avenue. When the pandemic hit, he said all of his business dried up. Not one catering job. But in the true spirit of an entrepreneur, and some of you might remember this, that are a mature age like myself, he went old school and made up some flyers and started going to beauty salons, barbershops in his community. Easter week, he profited $2,000 just making meals and delivering them in his community. So again, as you enter this world as an entrepreneur, always be prepared to pivot. It's not necessarily a one-way street. You may have challenges that come up, but be prepared to change your course. And again, I say to all of you, whatever steps you make in the right direction, celebrate. Because every accomplishment, no matter how small, is just that, an accomplishment, and should be praised. So again, feel free to email me, jfun@umd.edu, and you also, jsmithfun@umd.edu. No, that's not my email. I told you guys my head is fogged. jsmithfu@umd.edu. But I understand you put my email in the chat box.
Yeah, we've already posted it in the chat box, your email address.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I really always look forward to the opportunity.
Well, thank you again, Ms. Fun, for soldiering and sharing with us this morning, and certainly get yourself some rest and get back to your normal, usual self.
Thank you. All right. I hope everyone has a great day. Take care and let me know if I can be of help.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye now. Mhm.
Okay. All right. I want to go to a couple of things this morning, folks. Some of you I've met with already in terms of the one-on-one that I've wanted to have with each of your teams to give me a better sense of um, where you plan or how you plan on moving forward. What kind of benchmarks are you achieving at this point in time? And then how can we support you going forward? Um, Certainly, most of you, and I would say that I consider most of you mature businesses. Most of you do have a business idea. You're working in a space that you want to be at right now. Um, and for those who don't have a business idea, I would certainly strongly suggest that you begin to really think through, as Ms. Fun has said, that idea that you're going to be implementing that's going to gain you some traction in terms of developing some capital and that will allow you to provide that service or product that you want to provide to the community, and then moving forward on the growth of it. She mentioned marketing and doing market analysis, and that is so critically important in terms of research. So again, I've said this from the beginning. This is only a 12-week academy. You're not going to get everything that you need here, and I've said that very transparently. Uh, but we want to introduce you to concepts, ideas to help you grow your cooperative businesses, and then, as she said, that critical thought I thought was when times do demand that you pivot, that you can pivot. And so 2020 was a pivoting year for a lot of small businesses, cooperatives, single proprietorships, LLCs. It was a pivotal year where people had to pivot from the normal way of doing business and attracting businesses to creating some new ideas. And that idea she shared about the caterer was really interesting because he went, like she said, old school. He went back to the old way of knocking on a door saying, this is who I am. This is the kind of things I can do. If you're interested in my services, give me a call. Um, Developing advice and support is really critical as well. And to again, building out your businesses. Don't try to do this in a silo, folks. You know, don't try to do this in a silo. Reach out, even among yourself in this cooperative academy, to learn what each of you are doing. You all have gotten a directory of each other's profile, kind of knowing what you're doing, and so there's always something to be learned, and from interactions. And then, of course, while Miss Fun is here in Maryland, I'm quite sure in Nevada, in Pennsylvania, and Indianapolis, you have some of the same similar services that your local governments provide for small businesses. So certainly critically to reach out to those. I'm going to go through another presentation on a business plan, which was a startup coffee shop. But I do want to just and I'm going through this checklist that all of you have been given, and so I want to go to this next bullet point talking about startup financing. And so there is a monthly fundraising plan that you all have been given, and I would just again strongly suggest that you get with your teams and start to look at how you're going to raise some money early on to meet some of the benchmarks that you're going to need to meet, whether they are incorporating with the local government, There may be bringing on someone to assist as a consultant with helping you develop some of your the products that you need to move forward. But certainly having some access to capital, at least in the startup phase, is real critical. Jamie Lee came on board during our second session talking about legal formations of your cooperative businesses. Some of you are down that road already. You already have formed a legal entity. And so you know where you want to go with it. You know how you want to bring others into your cooperative. And some of you may not have gone down that road yet. But again, this is academy for people who are in organizations and teams that are looking to develop cooperatives. If you're looking to develop anything other than that, yes, some of this information will be useful, but when you start trying to apply it, some of this may not be applicable to the principles of developing a cooperative, which is really shared ownership. That's all it comes down to, just being able to share in decision making. And so if you've been a person who's been sort of individual and you've not, been so welcoming to sharing leadership, then you may need to rethink whether or not a cooperative model is something that you may want to pursue, because it certainly is going to demand that you share leadership. It's not a single proprietorship, and even though you may operate as an LLC, given LLC has managing directors who make decisions on the behalf of the body. But at some point, the body has to be engaged in the decision-making process as well. Jamie Lee from UB talked about your governing documents. How do you onboard new members? And see, all of you right now, at some point, are the founding members of your organizations. And so it's going to be imperative, important for you to gain as much knowledge as you can gain going at this point in these early stages. So when you have to reach out to start bringing people into your organization, you have a clear understanding how to onboard them. And so I say this to say this here. Leadership. I can't say enough about leadership in any aspect of any organization. How you show up is how those who come into your space will show up. You are the example. You become the example. And for all of you who've worked in private sector, public sector, you know how important leadership is, being the example. Because how you set the work about being principle driven is how others will follow. And so I know that, sometimes there's a little uncomfortability, even in this academy, about some of the things that we required. Well, because I am a believer that we need to show up every day about how we want to be. You can't get into a space and then say, well, this is how I want to be. You have to bring that principle attitude into the space with you. And so when you're bringing other people on, they see you. They see how your work ethic is. And I'll digress one bit and use my sports analogy. I hope you can appreciate this. A lot of folks didn't want to play with Michael Jordan, probably considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but they didn't want to play with him because of his level of excellence that he had set for himself. And he demanded that if you want to be on this team, there's a certain level of excellence that you have to place yourself into. And so for those of you who are teaching in a teaching mode and working in public sector and teaching, you understand that, because that's the attitude you want to pitch in your students, excellence. And so you yourself must embody excellence. So yes, that's why I asked all of you to sign the MOA at the beginning, because I wanted you to understand what was expected of you in this academy. So that as you move forward and move out of it and into your other endeavors, that you understand that there's a bar that you set and that you set a standard. Um, and that's how businesses become successful, and that's how we become successful ourselves individually. So I wanted just to put that short dialogue in about leadership. If you're going forward, again, if you're going to move this idea at some point in time, you have to go through this checklist and start to check off some things. Part of it is, again, determining your name, getting your E&I number. For those of you who are looking at maybe setting up the LLC, how to start to draft those documents. That doesn't mean that you have to launch them, but you need to start to draft them. And at the point that you feel prepared enough, you can launch them and get them registered with your various state agencies. And so, again, these are benchmarks. And so you got to lay out some benchmarks. I'm encouraging you to be very strategic about the process that you're undertaking in terms of developing your businesses, because you want to develop your business for success. A lot of people say they're in business, and I do believe that. But when you look at the acrimonies of what comprise a business, many folks fall very, very short on that. And unfortunately, during times like we're now in, unexpected times with this COVID pandemic, when businesses were hurting and states and localities were coming up with various different programs, unfortunately, many businesses could not access those resources because they didn't have the internal documents, as Ms. Davis has said, to apply. They're not filed taxes. They're not been incorporated properly, but they've been in business. Yes, they were. But all the things that a legalized business encompasses, they had not accomplished. And unfortunately, a lot of those businesses have been denied resources. And for those in Baltimore, I just sat on a webinar on Thursday morning with the Baltimore Downtown Partnership, as well as the folks representing Baltimore Gas and Electric, where they're doing I think Ms. Page was on that call too. They're doing a program for small businesses. And so it's, yeah, so many businesses weren't, unfortunately, accepted in their program because they had not met their benchmarks. So folks, be mindful of that as you proceed forward. The last item was just talking about members and onboarding your members, because you're going to get folks coming into your space with different ideas around how they may see their involvement and participation. And it's going to be contingent on you to establish the pathway for membership and how folks should be engaging. And so I know there's a lot to take on, and when you're trying to fly the plane and read instructions and all those other things, but these are the things we do if we're in business and we're trying to grow a real sustainable business. And we all should be incorporating that language in our thinking, sustainable, so that it can be growing, and then not only just growing a business that others can maybe possibly inherit in the work that they're doing. It's about a little bit before 11. I'm going to say we take a short break, about 10 minutes. We come back in around 11 o'clock. I'm going to take us through the presentation, the the business presentation on the startup coffee coffee shop enterprise, and we'll go through that and look at how that business plan was developed, and hopefully we will get some learning lessons around how you can again use what Ms. Fun has shared with you, and to take some notes on developing your business plan as well. So let's take a 10-minute break, folks, and then we'll drop back into the room. Okay. Adriana, I think Michelle has left us. I think she's gone on to get her shot.
Yeah.
Okay, then good. I guess I can have to consider myself very fortunate that I got the shot and didn't have any side effects.
Yeah.
But some folks have, unfortunately.
I didn't have any side effects either.
You didn't either?
No, when I it's so funny. The next day I said, "Oh, I think I'm feeling a little tired. I got a little fatigue." And excuse the expression, this voice came in the back of my head, said, "Get your ass up out this bed." That was it. That's all I got. I didn't get a chance to really just stay there. Just get up. So that was the gist of my side effects for the day.
Mm-mm. Well, I don't know if I had side effects. I was just worn down because I know I took a nap. I couldn't determine what it was.
Well, see, I was trying to say that too, but that voice said, "You're retired. You ain't getting up doing no work. What are you tired from? Get up." So I got up and walked the dog, and I felt better.
Oh. Well, I'm hoping Miss Fun feels a lot better come Monday.
Yeah. Because when you do feel like that, it is a drag.
Yeah, whenever you're not feeling your optimum, your health wise, it's always a drag. It's a drag for me. If I cut my finger, it's a drag. Because I never get away knowing that my finger's cut, right? Yeah.
Not until you hit
it. Yeah. So, oh, ouch.
So while I have you on, I wanted to go to the conference. I keep forgetting to register.
Oh, Miss Butler,
I know I just pay for it. I looked at it as what, $69?
Yes, but we would love to have done that for you. I wish you had.
You know what? Stuff happens.
Okay.
I tried to do it last week, and then somebody directed my attention to something else, and it was out the window. And so we came back this week and went, "Darn, you still didn't register for that conference." But I'll get it. Don't worry.
I was telling Adriana this morning and Michelle that we registered 4 people, and I tell you something for me, and I'm always I'm like the Pac-Man of information. When someone offers me opportunity to learn something and grow, I'm usually there sitting in and listening because I know information is key to growing and expanding your knowledge base.
Right.
The more information that you get, the more your likelihood for you to grow will occur.
Right.
And so these conversations, while they may not be relative to the industry that you're in, there's something to be learned even just by participating.
Oh, I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, but this particular conference coming up is really about growers.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've gone to the website, look at it. It's really for those who are primarily in the growing space.
Well, that's what I'm supposed to be working with, growers. So I'm going to be working with growers and then throw in a healthcare component.
Yeah, and they also have a few other sessions that they've are incorporating that are just general that for anybody that in a cooperative can learn something from.
Yeah, but it's just like you said, the more you know.
That's key. That's the key.
That's what holds us back.
So we're missing that energetic Farmer Chippy this morning.
I said that to myself too. I need to go over there, as my grandfather would say, with my strap and wake him up. He's one of those early morning people. I'm wondering if he's one of those conferences. Yeah. Yep. I said the same thing. And where is he? He got me up, and I'm up and on the thing. And where is he?
Well, that's the question maybe you need to ask him next time
I'm getting ready to send him that question right now.
So certainly, we did get a chance to meet with the team, as you all know, and it's good to hear, all the things that you're envisioning for the plantation there in Park Heights and working with the community. I'm really curious to hear that.
Yeah. Well, we're getting there, and like I said, don't forget to come to the party.
Oh yeah. I got that on my calendar. The Preakness party. I got it on my calendar, and And I think I better throw just for precautionary measure. I better throw my sleeping bag in the trunk.
You just might have to. You just might have to. You never know.
Yeah, well, they say like I was a Boy Scout for a little bit of time,
Okay,
so
there you go.
I
Be
know I
prepared.
be prepared, right?
Definitely. I don't live too far, so I'm prepared to.
All right.
I can take an Uber home.
Well, my niece lives in that area too. She lives on Pembridge, right off of
Okay.
Bell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go refill my coffee cup before my 3 minutes is up.
Okay. Ah, ah. Any thoughts, Adriana? Anything you want to share?
Anything I want to share? No, I mean, I also hope the best for Miss Fun. I think that she's probably having a lot of side effects, but I'm excited to see, where everyone is in the business planning stage, because I think that's like, it draws everything together. It draws together the loans, the financing, draws together the idea that we were talking about, the marketing. So I feel like I'm learning a lot from this session.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of Black and brown businesses, that have been adverse to paying taxes, sometimes find themselves on the short end when it comes to participating in government programs.
Mm.
And so that whole trust about, revealing yourself, you have to do a little better at it. Mhm. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna step away very quickly and I'll be back.
Okay, are we all back? Okay. Okay, look like we all are back in the room again. So I wanted to take you through a PowerPoint presentation on the business plan that was developed for a coffee shop. And so while this particular entity is not the entity that many of you may be developing, the same processes that Ms. Fun had shared goes into most and any business plan for any business. So again, this is a business plan for a coffee shop. I assume everybody's seeing my screen? Okay, good. All right. Okay, let me class this here for mentioning. Okay. So the big idea really is the business idea was coffee shop drinks. And so this particular individual looked at the coffee industry and what it was generating in terms of revenue. They noted there were 20,000 coffee shops located throughout the United States in various different communities. All right. So in your business, you want to look at what is your market for your business in your particular city, in your particular state. Secondly, they looked at what the combined revenue was that was being generated by the industry. It was a $10 billion industry. Thirdly, they looked at what was the average gross margin in terms of revenue generation. It was like 85%, which is very, very high on the spectrum. So you could average at least 85% gross margin in terms of profit if you're going into this particular industry. The average worker was being paid at the level of $50,000 in revenue. And of course, the last one was the revenue increase per year, 10% return on investment each year in this particular industry in terms of this coffee industry. So what did all these indices combined equal success for one who was looking at going into this industry of coffee? Now, your particular industry may be different based on the data that you're able to receive and the data that you're able to get. And so I would certainly ask you to or direct you to look at your small business agencies in your particular localities, look at your universities in terms of what data they may be collecting around your particular industries. Look at unions. They do collect data as well, so that you can get a real sense of, as you proceed forward, what are the financial gains or the financial losses that could result from going in your particular industry. Okay. Adrian Harpool last week was a couple weeks ago was talking about marketing, and so which is a real important piece to growing your business, trying to segment who your market shares are. So for this particular coffee shop, they looked at they were going to get 21% of their market would come from local residents. 36% was coming from tourists. And that's maybe tourists that are visiting their city. The one means another. They thought they could generate 36% of their customer base from tourism. Passing travelers, which is usually what you call your foot traffic people who are walking by your establishment every day. And of course, somewhere along the line, there must have been some geographic location to some kind of a university, because they looked at 7% of their market share coming from students. And the other 77% was coming from local businesses that were located near them as well. So when you think about your marketing share and who's commanding or where your market is coming from to support your business, look deeply and look at getting those resources identified, as I said earlier, from the various different universities, public agencies, state agencies, governmental agencies. They collect that data on a regular basis. And so I think it was Ms. Page said about how often should you update your plan. Your data should be an ongoing update for you, because you want to document where you're getting your customer base from and who's supporting you as a business. Okay. So here they took those same customers as they looked at, and then they start looking at them from a financial standpoint about how do you use those customer base to grow revenue shares in your business model. And for those of you who are familiar with Excel or Google Sheets, any of those softwares or programs that you can model, you can start to set up this kind of spreadsheet to look at how you segment and determine your share of growth from your customers. So the question here, if you look at the customer base, you see the first line of local residents, they want to grow at a 2%. So year one, 2% growth with getting new local residents to support the business would for them translate into $15,000 of annual income per year. And if they keep on a 2-year growth spurt for the next 3 years, they'll be up to over $15,600 over the 3-year period at a 2% growth rate. So why is this important? Because each segment of your market share and your customer share, you want to be able to grow. And so some of the things that Ms. Fun had mentioned about customer service, customer appreciation, being able to survey your client base, your customer base is really important. Because if you're in a restaurant business and you don't have good customer service, it can definitely negatively impact your business. Sometimes they don't tell you why they don't come back. And sometimes even when your food may not be the greatest, people like to be in your environment and like the customer services they receive from you as a business owner. So again, if you can take this model here and start to adapt it to your own business idea now, to see where you're going to draw your business or your customer base from. And for those of you who are looking at going into other businesses, such as providing maybe software or some product services, looking at who's going to be able to purchase those services. Local government, private businesses. Then if it's local government, what government agencies? What private businesses that you're going to find to want to, again, for you to establish those market shares with. Okay. Okay. So in this particular scenario, this coffee shop, one of the things that they were doing and they looked at in terms of looked at what are they're going to offer customers that come into their coffee shop. Well, they saw three product lines that they wanted to offer their particular customers. And you as well need to look at what are you going to be offering your customers in terms of your product or service line. This particular coffee shop said that they're going to sell bagged coffee. So they're grinding it up and sell gourmet bags of coffee. They're going to sell a variety of different coffee drinks. And then they're going to also supplement their offerings with some food items. I think for those who are in the space of growing, the growers, what fruits and vegetables your customers consume. And so if there's certain fruits and vegetables that you may be growing seasonally, and you're not moving those product lines, then that comes a time where you have to make a decision whether or not how beneficial that particular produce is to your market share or to your customers. Okay. So the revenue model. So they took these three offerings. Now they've now gone a little further in looking at them from a revenue model. So you can have, as a business owner, as a business, you can have a multitude of different services. But then how do you take those services and create a modeling that's generating revenue? I think it was LeRon Martin who shared with me a conversation he had with Miss Davis, and I think I think LeRon.
Yeah, that's right.
It's on mute there. Yeah. I think LeRon told me that she shared with him, tell me about what's making money.
Right.
Yeah. And so if you got
That's exactly what she said. If you tell me about how you generate income, where's the money?
there it is.
Don't come to me if it's not talking money. That's what she said exactly.
but which is really important, because if your product line is not generating you revenue, then you really have to do a real thorough consideration whether or not you need to be in that particular business with that particular product line. So with this particular coffee shop, they had said that they wanted to do 30 to 40 different varieties of coffee. And so when I was a kid growing up, I only remember Maxwell coffee, and most of my my mother and my father, who's coffee drinkers, they only drink either instant Maxwell or the ground Maxwell. And so, but now we see in this coffee world there numerous different types of coffee beans, and given different flavors and different taste, and they're coming from different parts of the world now. Not just one part of the world, they're coming from different parts of the world. Some coming from South America, some coming from Africa, some coming from Jamaica, different kind of coffee beans, which offer different flavors, different brew strengths. Again, as I said, different, coming from different regions. And then, so how do you price that by the pound? The coffee that's grown probably in Kentucky versus the coffee that's grown in Jamaica. And so here, this particular coffee shop looked at the range of selling from $4 a bag to $40 a pound. $4 a pound to $40 a pound. Because again, wherever they were sourcing their coffee beans from and the flavors and the brew strengths of those coffees. Lastly, they just averaged out across the board what a pound of coffee was worth. And so here it came to $15 a pound. Mm-hmm. And so as you sit down and put your model together, looking at the services and products that you're offering, whether it's in construction, for example, you know, your pricing for carpentry is going to be a lot different pricing than for mechanical work, where you're putting in ducts and mechanical systems, versus the lawns that you cut as a part of being a contracting company. So that's what I want to be able to share with you in terms of just driving how you're pricing out your industry and the products. All right. For this particular model that we're looking at, this coffee shop, again, there's a variety of the coffee beverages, different cup sizes, and we see that in 7-Eleven and any coffee establishment. You can, you know, up your small, medium, and large. And the prices go in alignment with the small, medium, and large. And so that helps you to determine your revenue. How many small cups of coffee are you selling per day? How many medium cups of coffee are you selling today? How many large cups of coffee are you selling today? And so once you get to understanding that data, then you can build a financial model around that. And so for you as a cooperative business, you want to know your market, and then you want to be able to know your business from bottom up, particularly around the products and services that you offer. Okay. So again, this particular coffee shop had 3 particular models. They had the bags of coffee they were selling the drinks, and then of course they were dealing with the local food. And so the third model was the direct sale of food products. Now they might have got them locally sourced from various different vendors around them, or they may have one particular vendor that provided sourcing of products. So while you may not have been a baker yourself, maybe you had a vendor who baked pies and cakes and things and sold them in your establishment. And so you get a profit, you could have gotten a profit margin off of that particular product being sold in your particular store, your coffee shop rather. And so again, this particular model again looked at sandwiches, bagels, burritos, mostly the kind of stuff, food items that people would consume with a cup of coffee. And if you think about it, what they were thinking, they were talking about food that you can carry in your hand, because your other hand is being occupied with your coffee. So it's that to-go food, essentially, that they were looking at sourcing as a part of their revenue stream. And so these, again, are the growing platforms of how you need to look at your business plan from a financial modeling standpoint. All right. So here we look at the sales forecast of this particular coffee shop. And it looked at the three-year model in terms of what the total sales were. And the cost of gross sales. And then the net profit that they go. And I want to just say that this gross sales, the cost of gross sales was actually your product lines that were as a direct result of you getting to your sales. So if you were selling cups of coffee, how much coffee were you using or purchasing yourself to brew to make this $702,000 on a yearly basis? And so you back out your expenses as opposed to your revenue, which gave you your net profit. Because you're going to always find yourself expending resources to make revenue. And anyone understanding that one of the margins around getting to your profit is to have control over your expenses. And as a business, that expense could be salaries, it could be utilities, it could be insurances, all those things that go into your line item budget that you have to operate as a business to stay in business, which helps you, again, drive what your total sales are needed to get you to having a good profitable margin in terms of your particular business. All right. And so here they took and put it in a graph form, took the raw data and they put it in a graph form. And you can see here the total sales, the total cost of doing the business, and then of course the net profit. Has anyone been able to set up a modeling for your particular business thus far to get a sense of knowing what your net profit is going to be for your business? Khalil, are you there? Okay. I think Khalil left us. Has anyone done this?
I think he may be frozen.
Huh?
I think Khalil may be frozen just looking at his screen.
Oh, okay then. Has anyone done this thus far in terms of looking at your business, being able to do this kind of financial modeling thus far?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right. So again, going back to your checklist, if you are looking at going into in business, you want to be able to determine what is going to be your net profit coming out of the door. That's why it's good right now, and Miss Davis will cover this in the next session, to put together a budget so that you know what your expenses are going to be that's needed to drive the revenue. So what happens when my expenses are more than my revenue? What?
Lose money.
Not
Huh?
making any money. You're not making money.
Right, you're not making money. You call what they saw in the red. So going in, you want to know what it's going to cost me on an annual basis to operate this business. And there are a lot of sound examples out there in terms of spreadsheets that already have been developed. That's the world we live in now. Sometimes you don't have to create these things from scratch because they already exist. It's just a matter of being able to plug the numbers into the model. Okay. All right. So timeline and goals. And this is a real important piece for planning, folks, because you want to be able to determine at what point in time will you be able to launch your business and what things you need to put in place to come above ground as a business. And so with this particular coffee shop, they've given some time to their securing funding, the build out of the shop, their grand opening, and what they wanted to achieve in a net period of time in terms of customers. Of course, your timeline will be much different, but nevertheless, you want to be able to develop a timeline for your businesses. But why is this important, this timeline? Why would it be important for those folks who you look at getting funding from to know you have a timeline? Does anybody ever thought about why this would be important for a lender to know what your timeline is?
To project your ability to return being paid their loan.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
to check the ROI. Yeah, check on your ROI. Yeah.
And it's important for you because you want to be able to determine when you're going to be able to start paying on the debt. So you want to give yourself some time to develop a timeline that's going to meet your growth spurt. And last year, of course, Ms. Fun shared the story about the caterer, but last year we saw a lot of businesses that were hit by the COVID, particularly when they were interacting with individuals, had to readjust their whole business plan around how they were doing business last year, and even going into this year. Any thoughts around? Any thoughts anybody want to add? Okay. All right. So let's talk about the team. And so one of the things that you want to be able to share in your business plan, who are the team members in your business? Why would it be important for you to share the background of those folks who are on your team and what their responsibilities are as it relates to the business?
Well, I think in the presentation, Miss Fun, I believe is her name, stated, especially when you're starting off and you're cash strapped, that the histories and composite of the team actually is what you are using as, foundational information relative to credit, and all your other information. That's what kind of jumpstarts you in your endeavor.
Yeah, so true, so true. So you should be at this point right now be getting bios, resumes of everyone that you are expecting to be in leadership in your businesses. Because at some point, a lender or some other entity will ask you who's involved, what is the experience, have they done this before? Because they want to feel comfortable that there's leadership in place that's going to be able to guide the business. Not only just leadership in place, but there's knowledge around that leadership. If you never opened a coffee shop before, how would you build your leadership team? Any ideas around that? If you've never been in a business before, how would you build your leadership team?
Talk with people who have worked in a coffee shop.
That would be one way of building a leadership team. But what would be the more manageable, practical way, Jeff, in terms of besides from talking with them? Would it be what else would I want to do?
Well,
Hire somebody to have a leadership, experience in coffee
There you go. You want to
team.
hire somebody who's done it.
right.
Particularly the one who's a seasoned individual who's done it for a period of time.
Right.
Because they bring to you that technical knowledge, expertise. You know, one of the things that we've seen that has happened in the space of food co-ops is that there's been a real deficit around grocery store managers who actually manage grocery stores. And so that's a real unfulfilled area of expertise that many food co-ops have experienced. Getting a seasoned individual who knows how to buy product, who understands shelf life, who has some knowledge of where geographically should I be sourcing my product for the market. So it's really important, your leadership team, folks. And this goes beyond just having passion for the work, but bringing again that technical knowledge and experience into the workspace.
It's just like people who know to put those Snickers bars in the aisle where you're standing there to go to the cashier. They know that Snickers is my favorite, and it's right there at my hand level, hand eye level. You can't miss it. But that's my 2 cents.
Well, I can't disagree with you because there's a strategic marketing strategy around why you see those magazines and candies right there at the checkout aisle, because that is the longest place that you're going to stand in any one moment in a grocery store, is in line waiting to get checked out. So what are you doing? You're looking around, you're observing, and then all of a sudden, you know, subliminally in your subliminal thoughts, you start to hear that call out by Snickers. Or you start to look at that magazine and say, oh, wow, what's happening in the life of the Kardashians? And all of a sudden you start to,
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So again, looking at the financial modeling, another form of financial modeling is looking at the business ratios in terms of what your profit margins are going to be over a period of time. And a 3-year window, I don't think Ms. Fun mentioned it, is as far as I would recommend anyone to write a business plan. It's 3 years. And would anyone share with you why probably I would suggest 3 years is the maximum that I would want to go out in a business plan? Anybody have thoughts why I would say 3 years?
Because hopefully you would be starting to show some profit within the first 2 years.
Okay, yeah, that was Jeff. Who else was going to say something?
In the beginning, you're making lots of projections, and some of it's aspirational. First year in planning, and the second and third years, a lot of those variables change, and all that. So and it's a living document, so you want to make sure you're updating. There'll be a lot of variables, a lot of changes, a lot of projections will or will not come to fruition, and so forth. So,
okay,
a lot of flexibility.
All right. So if I had started a business in January 2020, and I put a 5-year projection there, where would I be at today? I wrote a plan in January of 2020 to launch a business, and I gave 5-year projections. Where do you think I would be at today?
Business will be down. You're going into year 2.
Say that again. I didn't hear that.
You're in following your assets, liabilities, and all that kind of stuff. You're because of what's happened between 2020 and 21, your projections would change.
That's
would
right.
have changed.
That's right. Would have changed drastically based on what happened in 2020. I started my business January 2020. Come March 2020, I'm shutting down my business. So all my projections, they go out the window. All my projections go out the window. So but the other reason I would recommend a shorter uh, window for ratios because of how volatile the volatile. Is that me? Okay, I'm on somebody's phone now. Because business is very volatile. It always doesn't go up to as the graph says, go up and continue to go up. There are down years to business. And so we don't know what 3 years are going to look like at the end of 3 years. Just like no one could have predicted the pandemic in 2020. So I'm a sort of a conservative to say I take shorter looks along the road, just in the event that I need to change my strategy. And so I would recommend to you, if you're going to put your business plan together, I would recommend, not to say that I would look at shorter windows of developing that plan so that you can adjust if need be. But that's why I recommend a shorter business plan, because so much happens in the world of business today. Okay. Okay. Here we're looking now at liquidity ratios over the 3-year period. Looking at cash to assets. Now, why would you think that cash to assets are important? If you think back to Ms. Davis's presentation, she talked about the P&L, profit and loss statement, and what that means when a lender looks at your business. Because when a lender looks at your business, and you'll get this from Ms. Bailey when she comes on board as a give her presentation with shared capital, you look at that a lender wants to know that your cash to ratio, there's a balance to your cash to ratio, but your cash is sufficient to support the assets that you may have, particularly if you talk about owning a building, equipment, those kind of items. Again, you see the graphing of that number in terms of the success ratios. And you can see that profit margin going up. Along with the asset test, they're all going increasing. And that's what you want to have in your business, increase. Okay. In this particular, again, using this coffee shop as our example today, we know there's major competition in this particular industry in some cities. Some cities may not have this as a major industry, but may have other industries that are competitive in terms of how they do business. And so you want to be able to determine who are your competitors. And there is a rule of thumb that fast food establishments use regarding their their competitive location around where they establish their businesses. So whenever you see a McDonald's, you're probably going to see a Wendy's or a Burger King or some other kind of fast food restaurant. Why? Because they're always banking on the runoff. And everybody's not going to get in the door to buy the Big Mac. And so those customers I get because I'm offering products that are almost similar to what they're offering at McDonald's. Pardon me on that one again. Okay. So, but you want to know who are your competitors, and because you want to give yourself a competitive advantage as a cooperative. I'll tell a story about a cooperative supermarket that was established about 4 years ago in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it was established by some seasoned cooperators, and I'm talking about folks who have been in the industry for a while, who understood a lot of the challenges that come with establishing a cooperative business. Unfortunately, after 3 years, the store closed. It was a big disappointment to a lot of us because we hoped for so much success for that co-op grocery. And as we went back to do a self-examination on what the challenges were, we realized that a lot of work around looking at the competitors was not done. The grocery store had located less than a half a mile from a regular dollar store, Dollar General. Well, for those of you who shop and visit the Dollar General and the Dollar Tree, you know they now sell food items. And not only do they sell food items, they sell them at a lower cost because they're able to purchase more in bulk than a regular grocery co-op grocery would be able to purchase. And so they were priced out a product line, and of course they were in competition with the products that they were selling at the grocery store versus at the Dollar Tree and the Dollar General. Someone wanted to say something? Hello? Okay. So you want to know your Go ahead. Somebody wants to make a comment?
I wanted to make a comment about the dollar store.
No. About that scenario. I thought you were making a comment, but go ahead and share. I'm talking about competitors. Understanding your competitors.
No, I saw something recently where it was like dollar store. It was like a Dollar Tree and Dollar General had actually like bought like buildings like directly next to each other, like joined at the hip, like right next to each other. So what do you think what's that about? Like them like actually like partnering up and having like damn near the same building, so to speak.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to comment to that. I know even in inner city neighborhoods, a lot of fast food restaurants. Can someone mute the phone? A lot of these fast food restaurants, they sell similar product lines. I mean, chicken wings, French fries, maybe some fried fish, and but there's so much market share. Going back, looking at the earlier slides about your market share, there's so much market share that any one business can consume at any one time. And so if you don't be able to capture a significant amount of the market share, you're going to be one of those businesses that are going to be priced out by your competitors. This has been the conversation for years around Walmart, that it prices out small businesses because they're able to purchase product at a lower cost and able to resell those products back to in their stores at lower cost beyond that of a small emerging business. So that's critical for you to think about, again, as a part of your business plan. Who are my competitors? And if you have acquired or obtained your market share of customers, then the question becomes again, how do you retain them? How do you keep them? And so, as Ms. Fun has shared, growing your business plan is an ever ongoing process. And now data drives these decisions more than anything else. So it's very important to start to collect data. I know we sometimes may not think of it in a business sense, but it's important a skill set to start to incorporate within your business data. And data is being collected all the time on all of us when we go out to buy at stores. That's why they ask us our zip code. That's why they ask us our cities. They're collecting data to see where are they getting their customers from. Some of them may be local and some may be regional. So yes, how far did he come from? Is it 1 mile? Is it 2 miles? Is it half a block? So yeah, so you want to be able to ask it to put that together. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Again, looking at these competitors and how close in proximity they were to this coffee shop, and certainly this particular one, Tully's, was only 400 feet from the coffee shop. And they had excellent growth every year. Mm-hmm. But of course, as the scenario said, they had poor management of their store. Okay. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be talking with a lender. While many of you may not be ready at this stage to actually apply for financing, you do want to know how important it is to assemble various levels of debt. Why would that be important? To understand the various different levels of debt.
Well, I guess one thing is to know how and when and why you have to, where you're going to repay it.
That's important. I agree with you. Any other thoughts? Ms. Davis covered some of this in her presentation where she talked about having patient capital that allows you to get to a point where you are generating revenue without having the pressures of paying on debt at the immediacy that you start your business. And so you want to be able to leverage where your funding comes from. And in this scenario here, there was some bank financing, there was some owner equity, they used some debt investors, as well as other investors. Those are the 4 sources of funding that this coffee shop used. Most businesses right now start up in this category of owner equity. We're seeing a lot of crowdfunding now. Are you seeing that now? A lot of talk around crowdfunding. Does everybody know what crowdfunding is?
No.
All right. Before I comment, does anybody know what crowdfunding is?
It's basically like, isn't it like raising money?
That's right. That's right. You're raising money through other investors. That's what you're doing. You know, Mhm. You see some of it now around when folks are setting up these funds for folks who are maybe needing funeral costs, things of that nature. And I'm thinking with uh, uh, GoFundMe. GoFundMe. There it is. GoFundMe is a source of crowdfunding. But also too, we're using crowdfunding to also to get investors to invest in businesses. There's a fund, and you might want to take this down, that's operating in Boston, Massachusetts, called the UJIMA Fund.
Eugenia.
UJIMA. UJIAMMA. UJIMA Fund. And the UJIMA Fund has sourced its community to invest in in projects. So they have a funding stream where they've gone out to community residents and say, here, invest $5, invest $10 in this community program. And at some point, when we start to get a sizable return in revenue, we'll make payment back to you based on some kind of interest rate that they may self-determine for the group. Some of you may want to look at that as a funding stream. There is a crowdfunding out there called Kiva, KIVA. You can look at that up as well. It's another source of raising capital. But even in your own states and localities, there may be some state laws that provide for crowdfunding from your various different communities without having to go through the legal realms that 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 an investment fund would certainly require one to go to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So you've gone out and now you raise money from the various different sources. You crowdfunded. You got a bank loan. You got some friends to invest. You put some money in your credit card. Now taking those funds that you raised and putting them to use because you want to show the lender how are you going to use those funds in terms of your business startup. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these are some of the, again, line item budget items that you may have on your budget. Your website, your lease deposit for your space, your insurances, your other supplies and inventory, your marketing, maybe improvements that you have to make to the building in terms of the build out. So if you haven't done this already, again, start to look at putting together a budget. And it doesn't have to be anything actual, but you want to be able to think through the process of what it's going to cost you to start up your cooperative. What are we going to pay for salaries? Are we going to provide health benefits at the beginning or maybe health benefit down the road? What kind of product lines are we going to start to incorporate in this scenario, in this coffee shop? Are we going to purchase the most expensive beans? Or are we going to purchase some moderately priced coffee beans? These are the things that, again, You want to start to have these conversations among yourselves. Because some industries require a lot of intense money at the beginning. Some may not, depending again what industry you're looking at going into in terms of your big idea. But this one here is just that of the coffee shop. All right. All right. So I'm gonna open have you open your mics up. We're gonna have some conversation around this. All right. Okay. My question becomes for all of you is if you're finding this to be useful because over the last 3 or 4 weeks we've gotten to some really intense conversations around technical knowledge around starting a business, looking at the financing, looking at the legal structure, looking at the marketing, looking at the business plan. These are the foundations for operating a business. And if you're not been able to capture this and start to have discussions around this early on, it gets very difficult when you get down the road later. So it's really important to have these conversations around early on around your businesses. For those of you, and Jeff, we can talk offline, but for those of you who are in the Baltimore, Maryland area, certainly Ms. Fun can be a big asset. I would ask you and direct you to talking to Mr. Adrian Harpool around marketing, Ms. Davis around structuring your financial picture, and she's coming back again. And then particularly when the lender comes into this session, to really give them a lot of to think about and you to think about in terms of what kind of questions you want to be asking of them that's going to be useful. My experiences have been, as I've been looking at cooperatives, more so the cooperative businesses versus cooperative housing, is that it takes a lot of work to build a business. Mm-hmm. And particularly build a business with people who you might have been friends with, but you're not done business with. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ms. Butler, did you want to say something about that?
I'm just going, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of communication, and that's one of the things that I find with a lot of people is that, and you may have a lot of plans, but if your team doesn't know what the plan is,
yeah,
it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't help to promote the follow through for the idea if you don't know what to follow through on.
Yeah, yeah, and that's when you got to get it out of your head and get it out there where everybody else can understand what's going on, where we're going.
Yeah.
How are we going? How
are we going to do it?
Yeah, very important. Mm-hmm.
This is so good for me because it helps to guide me into questions that I feel I need to ask.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's important for everybody to get those questions out there on the front side rather than on the back side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have, Jeff, did you want to say something? I saw you.
Oh no, I will want to. Yeah, it's so if we have an idea about what we would like to start, but not enough people to fulfill that idea on a cooperative level, saying that we want this to be cooperative, you still end up, I guess, having to start the business as a hierarchical kind of a structure and say, okay, we're going to have to hire employees. But ultimately, through the candidacy period, we would like to have them want to be owners of being part of the owner of the cooperative now. And if they don't understand that, then you'll end up letting them go after that candidacy period, which is the probationary period. That's the way Arizmendi is doing it. The bakery in San Francisco area, they have, I think, now a total of 6 that they do that with, But once we have, and this is the situation here in Vegas, we do now have enough funding for any of the businesses that we've talked about starting, but there's not enough people that we have yet together to say, okay, now let's make the business plan, so that we can ensure that we get the funding. And I don't know, it's just it's been strenuous for me because I've never started a cooperative before. We had a couple. Yeah, geez, I don't know if I can say we did start it, but it was just ended up being like little one-nighters and then one-timers because the one individual felt that he should get a lot of the money because it was his tacos that they were after at this baseball game that we had to deal with UNLV. It was success, but then it was short lived because we couldn't get enough people to say, hey, it's not really like that. We need to do a little bit more sharing, but we didn't build a culture first of understanding what really cooperatives are about, and it's difficult. That's all.
Yeah. Well, starting a business by yourself is difficult. And then when you magnify that with other people that you bring into the environment, it becomes even more of a difficulty. And so I would say this to you, Jeff, and to all of us. And Ms. Form is on the line, and she can attest to what I was going to meet with her this week, and with a group called Black Yield Institute. And I think it's important to understand that the education, building the culture never stops. That you have to, look at it from that perspective. And so having study groups, being able to do reading together, and collective conscious building is real critical. So even if you have 2 people and you can sit and learn and grow together, you create the foundation for bringing other people in. So most cooperative businesses have gone through a long period of just having a study group, even before they launched the business, understanding the principles that they wanted to operate as a cooperative, building the culture that they want to operate in terms of building a cooperative, bringing other folks in to study why are we doing what we're doing. And so I would certainly say and suggest that for you and anyone here on the line is that start to build your study groups. Start to share in knowledge sharing, knowledge building. It's not important that we start a cooperative in the next 12 months. What's important is that we build the consistency of having people who understand the importance of what we're trying to do. Secondly, I mentioned the cooperative grocery store in Raleigh, and I mentioned them. One of their failures was not being able to assess the competition. But one of the other reasons for failure was that they stopped organizing. They stopped organizing to the point that the community thought that only members of the cooperative could buy at the cooperative grocery store. So this organizing that we're doing has to be the breath and the heartbeat of this work we're doing around cooperative work. I can't say enough how important it is to have that study group in place and continue, even when you're above ground as a cooperative business, to continue to organize, educating the community, bringing them into the conversation. As Ms. Butler said, I know where we're going, but everybody else don't know where we're going. and so it's important to build that umbilical cord of bringing people in, so they can have become a real true stakeholder in the process. I do believe when you commit yourself to building that intentionality around studying, educating yourself, and you can and you start to reach out and mobilize and organize people, then you can really look at building successful cooperatives. Yeah, it's not just about the business; it's about the attitude and the consciousness that you want to be able to share with folks. You know, so many times you hear people say that certain groups of people can't work together. Well, I'm not a believer of that. I'm not a believer nor a practitioner of that. What I will say is that it takes a lot more work to work with a collective business as opposed to when you just own business by yourself, because you only rely on yourself. But when you have to share that knowledge with others, then it really becomes important to build that sense of community. I share this 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 closing comment. I One of my spiritual teachers told me once, there's no such place as New York. There's no such place as Las Vegas. What she told me, what she described was a consciousness around New York. And I had to give a lot of thought to that. A consciousness around New York. So when you're in New York, when you just visit there, you feel that consciousness around everything's moving. Everything's moving. Nothing's slowing down in New York. Everything's on a high pace. Now, if you go down to Raleigh, North Carolina, you know what you're getting? A slow energy flow. It's the energy flow. Yeah, it's the energy flow. So that's really important in this work we do. Everybody wants to do this, and it sounds grand. And I think Jeff, you said this morning, it sounds grandioso. It sounds, oh, so we can do it. But doing the work takes time. It takes energy to do the work that you need to do to build the foundation. And when you think you built the foundation, you have to continue to build the foundation going forward. That's Farmer Chippy. Good to see you.
Hey, welcome. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't join earlier. We're in the middle of the Park Heights cleanup with the children, so things are a little bit hectic. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining everyone, and I'll just listen in from here.
Yes. So yeah. So we're going to make this presentation available to you. So it's on the recording. It's been recorded as well. So you'll get that this week. And I will suggest you to do this. Challenge yourselves, folks. If you have a team already, challenge yourself. Marilyn alluded to this. Challenge yourself to put the time into making sure that everybody is sharing in the learning. Sharing in the learning. That's really important.
Will the slides for the PowerPoint from Ms. Fun, will that be available?
Yes, we'll make it should be all on this recording, is it? But she also said, she said she sent us some slides as well, so that'll be available to you all as well.
Yeah, because that was a great source of knowledge there. I mean, that just was like, wow.
Yeah. So are there any
This conference will now be recorded.
Are there any questions or input anyone wants to give? And we're going to close out early today. Any questions? Okay. Okay, well, good. All right. That's okay too. So Adriana, just a housekeeping matter. We're going to schedule time to to talk with Jeff. And if you want to keep that Friday open, we can still do that Friday date, Jeff, if that's good for you. If not, we'll work with your schedule.
Yeah, but the Friday, like I said, I get off work at 2 p.m.
Which means
So
it's like 5 o'clock my time.
yes,
Okay, so you want to do something like 5:30 or 6 o'clock Eastern time? That gives you a chance to get home and get
yeah,
settled? Okay.
yep, that'll be
All right, well,
perfect
we'll do that. We'll do that. Yeah.
this
And,
Friday.
and then we need to reschedule with Troy as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Good. Now, Farmer Chippy's out there growing and smiling. I see. You got everything going on out there, Farmer Chippy. Okay, folks. All right. Well, we've had a good session this morning. I'm hoping as we move forward that at the very least, you can begin to at least have a draft business plan to share by the end of the academy, and we'll get set and spend some time over the next week, just again sharing more information around that. Adriana, who's on board next week in terms of next week's session?
We have the group from Shared Capital, so that's Samantha Bailey and Miss Jessica James.
Yeah. The lenders are on board next week. So I hope you have a lot of questions to ask them because they do a lot of funding in the space for cooperative businesses. So I hope that what we've been able to share these ensuing weeks, that it comes to some meaningful outcome next week when we talk with these lenders about how do we access resources, how do you access resources, and what's required. All right. Okay, folks. Well, it's Saturday. I hope everybody, I see sunlight in some of the windows, so I'm hoping that. Ms. Foreman, that's a big library you got behind you. Are you in a library? That's all? I can't, go ahead.
Can't hear you. Mm-mm. Nope.
Yes, that's a wonderful setting behind you, all those books.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Miss Foreman, honestly, this happens to me sometimes as well. Usually, that's why I call in also on my phone, so I can send you the number to do that if you'd want.
It's the world of technology, believe me.
Yeah.
Nothing is straight line in the world of technology. I guess Mr. Arthur can attest to that this week. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, we're gonna leave the room a little early today. We're gonna get these recordings out to you, and if there's any questions that you may have that you want to address, feel free to call me or email me or email Adriana or go give her a shout out as well. So Adriana, we're gonna reschedule our meeting with Troy, and then we're gonna confirm the meeting with Jeff for 5:30 next Friday. All right.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah.
All right, folks. We'll continue to have a blessed and wonderful Saturday. Appreciate you, and if there's anything again we can do to share with you going forward, let's do that going forward. All right. Adriana, we're gonna have a quick wrap up before you and I sign off.
Yeah.
Okay then.